I'm always thankful for the opportunities I had to live and grow in three different countries across three different continents: Asia, Africa, and now North America. I was born in India. I grew up there, completed most of my studies. I got married to a beautiful lady sitting there. My elder son was born there. I worked for a few years there. Then in 2007, we moved to Rwanda. But in Rwanda, I have been associated with Rwanda for almost 20 years. Previous to that, my parents moved to Rwanda in 1998 for work. My younger son was born there too, so special attachment with Rwanda. After working for 6 years there, in 2013, we moved to Canada. And I'm very proud and happy to say that this year, we all became Canadian citizens. Thank you. During my experiences in the past few years, I felt how privileged we are to live in a country that is so rich in resources, natural resources. We have access to so many amenities and facilities. We in the developed countries are so privileged because we are seen as a beacon to the developing world with ideas, with innovations, discoveries. But what I have also learned living in these developing countries like Rwanda is that they have used these ideas in their own way. They have adapted and became innovative. These countries are in desperate situations. They don't have as many resources as we have. But they have still come up with ideas to sustain themselves. There is a saying that you all know: necessity is the mother of invention. But maybe I'm going to say that probably desperation is the father of innovation. These developing countries are in desperate situations, and they have innovated, they have adapted the ideas out there. They have learned from developed countries and came up with their own innovative ideas. Let's take example of public transportation system. What image comes to your mind when we talk about public transportation system? A bus? Railway system? Trams? Sky trains? Even ferries, right? Waterways, Ubers, etc. But how did the developing countries adapt to this? They are not able to afford buses. They're not able to afford railway system. So how did they adapt? Well, my experience in Central African countries have exposed me to their innovative ideas. There you see matatus, the small buses that they use for public transportation system. That's the image we have when we talk about public transportation system in developing countries. They have also innovated. They came up with innovative ideas of using motorcycle taxis. They're called Boda Boda or Piki Piki. Google it when you go back. They use motorcycle taxis as public transportation system. The riders are happy because now they're able to afford to a cheaper and easily accessible public transportation system. The drivers are happy because they can easily afford to loan a motorbike, and they're employed. So it's a win-win situation for both the riders and the drivers. That's the public transportation system that they have adapted into that. When safety became an issue, because motorcycle taxis, they made it mandatory to use helmets. I was happy to use that, definitely. But then hygiene became an issue because we have to use the same helmets used by other riders. What did they do? They came up with an innovative solution. They use disposable hairnets. Whenever you access these motor taxis, you're given a disposable hairnet and the helmet. You put on the hairnet, wear the helmet, reach your destination, dispose it off. Such an innovative idea. If they can come up with ideas in desperate situations, we can also come up with ideas. But at the same time, we can also learn from these ideas. Can we learn from developing countries? Yes, because they have not only come up with ideas, they have come up with proactive, innovative ideas. They have not waited for desperate situations to arrive. They have actually they went ahead and come up with some proactive innovation. Do you know that plastic use or use of plastic bags is banned in Rwanda since 2008? In 2018, we are still thinking about it. We are debating about it. That's what I call proactive innovation. Developing countries are in situations that they had come up with proactive innovations. We have that opportunity to learn from developing countries. My experience as a physiotherapist and as a professional ergonomist, I have dealt with a situation that is very important in developing countries right now. It's called work-related musculoskeletal injuries. We all go to work. I hope so. I hope you enjoy going to work. But at work, we bend, we lift, we stretch, we reach. We stand for long hours. We also sit for long hours in front of computers. All these have contributed to work-related musculoskeletal injuries. Do you know in Canada, almost 35% of all the claims that go to insurance companies come from work-related musculoskeletal injuries? And do you know how much it's contributing to the economy or it's affecting the economy? $1.5 billion every year is compensated just from back strains and other strains of your body. Imagine this economic effect in a developing country. How are they going to afford that? That's going to be tough on them. Imagine that effect in a country like Rwanda, which has survived its genocide in 1994 against Tutsis. Around 1 million people were killed in 100 days. 42% of their population is under the age of 14 years, preparing themselves to get into the labor market in the future. Imagine having that 35% of musculoskeletal injuries in that population and the effect of that cost, effect of that claim cost on their economy. How did they address it? They came up with proactive, innovative ideas. I'm very happy to share with you that I had the privilege to lead this project. What we did is we introduced ergonomics content in the physical education teachers guideline. Physical education teachers always encouraged to stretch, to exercise, to play sports. But what we have introduced is we have introduced concepts of how to sit properly when you're reading a book, how to sit properly with your posture. I know I can see some of you adjusting yourself right now. How to sit properly when you're reading or writing, and even wear a backpack. So the concept of ergonomics, which tells us how to maintain our posture, is imbibed from their childhood. Just as we know that washing hands is important as a hygiene situation, sitting properly, bending properly, lifting properly becomes part of their lifestyle. If they can do it, a developed country like us, can we do that? I think we should. And that's what I call proactive innovation. Developing countries have come up with so many innovative ideas that we can always take and utilize in our situations. Living in these countries, after moving to Canada, one of the things that I realized that, especially in a country, in a province like British Columbia, which is very rich in natural resources, we also have a Fraser River flowing through that. And when it rains, it pours. Let's not talk about the rain and the winter yet. But every summer, we all come across the same thing, the notice of water restrictions. Coming from Rwanda to a country like Canada, I was surprised because Canada is famous for being rich in natural resources. But every summer we come across this. What about countries like Rwanda? How do they deal with these situations? Because you must have heard in news about South Africa struggling with water resources, etc. How do these developing countries react to these situations? Well, they come up with proactive innovation. Do you know that it is part of the building code in Rwanda to have rainwater collection system in their building code? Can we have it here? Maybe. We should. We can. I will leave those innovative ideas to the bright minds in this audience. You can come up with those ideas too. There are so many things we can learn from developing countries that we can apply it over here. We can be proactive. Don't wait for those desperate situations to come up. We all have, we have situations where we sometimes relax. We call the first world problems, right? No, we can be proactive. Let's not talk about first world problems, but let's look at solutions. We can learn from developing countries. Do you know that Rwanda uses drones to supply medical supplies? Because of the high terrain that Rwanda has, it is difficult for people to access facilities and medical facilities. So Rwanda came up with this proactive, innovative idea of utilizing drones. Maybe we can use that too. We are in a province prone for natural disasters like earthquakes, flooding, etc. Maybe we can use drones to supply emergencies during that time. Rwanda uses them to supply blood supply and defibrillators in cases of emergency. We have an aging population which is ever growing, who will have difficulties in accessing medical facilities. Maybe we can use drones to supply the medical supply to their doorstep. Again, I will leave those innovative ideas to the audience over here. When you leave this room, I want you to think about the challenges that are present in the community, in the society, all over around us. I want you to seek solutions. I want you to be proactive. I want us all to be proactive. And revolution doesn't mean that we have to wait for those desperate situations to come up. Revolution doesn't have to be having a negative connotation to that. Revolution can happen before the desperate situation comes up. We all can come up with revolutionary ideas by being proactively innovative. I thank you all for listening to me, and I challenge you all to be proactively innovative. Thank you.